Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl has arrived on consoles and brings with it the classic feel of the old-school Nicktoons games like Battle for Volcano Island, but unfortunately in its current state the game does fall short in some ways. As someone who has over 1,000 hours in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I am a bit spoiled by what that game has to offer in terms of characters and features, but Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl is still pretty fun if you know what you're getting into. I played the game on a Nintendo Switch, but the game has also been released on PS4, PS5, Xbox One and Series consoles, and PC. The first thing you're greeted with after launching the game is the menu, which is basic and to the point. It's a really simple menu that does its job and looks pretty good. It has a simple theme to it that is present throughout all of it. There isn't a lot in the way of game options aside from the volume control, but I do like the extras section where you can check out replays, listen to the music of the game, and more. However, while the menus look nice, once I got into gameplay, I realized that the characters themselves look a little bit strange. In battle, you might see what I'm talking about. The characters fighting together is cool, and as a crossover, it's a great idea, but the game is just kinda awkward. It just has this weird look to it. Which is a little disappointing since seeing someone like Danny Phantom fight alongside Aang and Korra seems like it would be mind-blowing. Instead, it looks like they were just thrown together. It's less of an awesome clashing of different styles like Smash, and more of just a messy look. I think if the game went for a more cartoony art style like cell shading, it would really bring the visuals together, similar to how Dragon Ball FighterZ emulates the look of Dragon Ball Z. The stages do look pretty nice and have a lot of variety in designs in terms of platform placement and size, which of course changes the way that you play. If you're into competitive play though, there are a couple of stages that will appeal to you. Incan Armada Invasion is essentially your Smash Battlefield stage, and Harmonic Convergence is similar to your Smash Omega stage. Rooftop Rumble and Jellyfish Fields are also pretty tame stages that will help you focus on fighting instead of maneuvering around the area. Moving past the look of the game, there are a few different modes to choose from. You have Arcade Mode, Battle Mode, and Online Mode. Arcade Mode is your typical run of fighting enemies to a certain point that we've seen in plenty of fighting games. If you find it too easy, there are options to change the difficulty level, which changes the amount of stocks you and your opponent has. Unfortunately, there is no boss fight at the end of the run either, so you end up with a mode that kinda feels pointless since you're not working toward a tough enemy at the end of it all, but at least the option is there anyway. Another thing I found interesting is the interaction between your character and your enemy at the beginning of the fight in Arcade Mode. They'll say a quick line, but it's not really directed towards you, and it's just a random line that doesn't really fit the situation. It would have been nice to see the characters truly talk to each other. It would make the whole crossover aspect feel much better. Another thing I would have liked to see is some sort of explanation on how they came together to fight in the first place. I'm not saying to do an entire story mode, but a story synopsis or something like that would have been really nice to see. Battle Mode is where you likely will be spending most of your time if you play with friends. There you have the options of picking stock or timed battles. And you have the option of customizing the rules to how you see fit. You can set the time to 1 minute all the way to 99 minutes, and you can set the stock to 1 stock all the way to 99 stocks. Not sure why you want to do that, but I appreciate the option anyway. You can also turn on team battles, critical KOs which carries your percentage to the next stock, and friendly fire. There's also a sports mode which has you kicking a soccer ball into a goal, and I highly recommend playing this mode specifically with a friend because it's something that changes the game so you're not always just focused on fighting each other, and I would love to see more modes like this in the future. It's really unfortunate that this game mode isn't available online though, but overall Battle Mode is where the game shines. Playing with friends offline is the best experience this game has offered to me so far, and as a party game title for just dumb fun, it works well enough. The game has a decent size of playable characters, though coming from Smash Ultimate's massive roster, I guess I am a little spoiled. Here you have 20 total characters at launch, but it does have a wide variety to choose from. You have the 90s characters like Helga, Nigel Thornberry, and Ren and Stimpy, and the more modern characters like Lincoln and Lucy from the Loud House. Some of my favorites so far are Danny Phantom and the SpongeBob characters. I mean, you couldn't call this a Nickelodeon crossover game without Patrick and SpongeBob at the very least. Safe to say that if you're a huge fan of Nickelodeon and grew up watching tons of the shows, you'll find someone you like. However, for a game that's supposed to feature the all-stars of Nickelodeon, I'm a little disappointed in the fact that there aren't more characters like Jimmy Neutron or Timmy Turner, which to me are some of the most iconic Nickelodeon characters out there. I also wouldn't mind seeing someone like Jenny Wakeman from My Life as a Teenage Robot, as well as the actual main character of Hey Arnold. I'm not sure how Helga made the cut when Arnold himself didn't. Also, certain series get multiple characters while some only get one. Danny Fenton is the only character from Danny Phantom in this game. There is no Tucker Foley or Sam Manson in sight, while the Avatar series has characters like Aang, Toph, and Korra. I understand that the more influential series will get more representation, but the roster could have been better if it reached more series instead of having one get more characters than the others. The controls of this game are straightforward, but took me some getting used to since the mechanics and button layout of this game are different from Smash, so I had to change it up a little bit to suit my needs. Unfortunately, even with my custom layout, the game still feels really clunky to play. The animations themselves feel stiff while running around the stages, and fighting looks very choppy. There just isn't a lot of fluid animations in this game, and attacks connecting don't feel extremely satisfying to land. Sometimes I get hit with attacks that don't feel like they should have hit, and that makes the game's combat feel really inconsistent. That problem gets even worse when playing with more than 2 players, where I had to struggle to even get to a point where I wasn't getting constantly hit by a barrage of janky attack animations. So while I'm not necessarily in love with the combat, I'm sure some players will find it fun due to its fast pace. One thing that helps the game feel really quick is wave dashing, a mechanic that was popular in Smash Melee that carries your momentum from air dodging and lets you slide on the ground. I haven't mastered it myself yet, but seeing players pull off some nice combos thanks to the mechanic is nice. It's also something that I see a lot during online competitive matches. And speaking of online play, my matches have been pretty good for the most part. However, when there's a lag, there's a constant stutter that happens to the characters. It only happened a few times, but of course that depends entirely on your internet connection. But overall, I'd say my online experience with this game has been positive, aside from the fact that I get destroyed by other players who have already mastered the mechanics of the game. The last thing I want to touch on is the music. It's good, like surprisingly good. The main thing kind of sticks in your head and really gets you hyped for the game. I found myself often sitting on the home screen just to listen to it for a bit. Another song that I really grew fond of is the version 1 losing theme. It sounds so good for a losing theme, and it stands out from the rest of the game's music. A couple other highlights for me were Omashu from Avatar, the Ghost Zone from Danny Phantom, and the Technodrome from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In my opinion, the music is easily one of the best parts of the game. I had a decently fun time with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, even with its shortcomings. It's a nice throwback to the older Nickelodeon games back on the PS2 and GameCube, but the issues I had with the game does drag down the experience. The gameplay isn't as fluid as I would have liked, and the visuals of the game aren't anything super impressive, but the music is a standout, and the fact that there are a lot of different Nickelodeon characters crossing over in the first place is pretty cool. I'll be playing more of this game in the future, but at the moment I record this, I'm kind of mixed on the game. There are some good aspects, but overall it really lacks the polish that I expected from this type of game. Hopefully there will be more content added post-launch as well as patches to iron things out. And if you happen to be a huge fan of Nickelodeon, whether it's the classic shows or the newer shows, this game just might be up your alley. And with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to GameXplain and ring the bell for more on Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and other things gaming too. I'll catch you guys next time.